Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This discussion, we will discuss about a hot potato topic. So it's related to the language, something that is related to the culture, to the nation, or something that is so near from our life. And here, I will share about the rules that I hopefully that all of you will obey it. The first is please mute your microphone. The first. Secondly, you are not able to give your statement if the moderator doesn't allow you to speak up. The third, focus on the topic of discussion. The fourth, the hosts are capable of cutting your statement if the moderator think that's enough. Number fifth, encourage to be active in discussion. Number six, raise hand on the notification of participants. So please click the button of participants, and then that will be show the button for raise hand. So please raise hand in the participants button. Please raise hand. Okay, Mr. Indrewanov, Mr. Egi Laura, could you? Okay, Miss Egi Laura, Miss Agnes, please raise hand in the participants button. Mr. Angga, could you raise hand? Please, the whole of you. Okay, Mr. Hassan, thank you. Please try to raise hand in the participants button. Please, if you don't raise hand in the participants button, we cannot recognize that you want to share any speaking or speech. Please try to raise hand in the participants button. Okay, Miss Agnes Umulkhor, thank you. Okay, please, the whole of you, try it to open. If you don't know, please share to me that you have a hardness now. Please, the whole of you raise hand in the participants button. Please, raise hand in the participants button. Miss Vidya Rohmawati, Miss Tamara, please try to raise hand in the participants button. In the participants button, not the claps hand, please. Not claps hands, Miss Tamara. Okay, I hope that the whole of you know how to raise hand in participants button, because if you don't raise hand in the participants button, we cannot recognize that you want to share any speech in this midst of this discussion. So now I allow you to lower your raise hand and we will start our discussion. Today we will discuss about the hot potato topic. It's related to the extinction of traditional language. So without waiting anymore, Mr. Hodori, as our moderator, time is yours. Sorry, Mr. Hodori, could you unmute first? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, now we want to discuss about extinction of traditional language. Why do I take the topic about extinction of traditional language? You know, in modern era or in millennial era, we are afraid of improving about traditional language. However, if we want to go, if we go to Jakarta or Surabaya, we are afraid if we are from Japanese or Sundanese. Yeah, even we stay in around a month, we will take that accent. So why should we be shy to show about our traditional language. Yeah. Next, third, ready. Now, yeah. The first is mother tongue. What is the mother tongue? Mother tongue is the first language which is dominated by the child, by our ancestor, precious people, environment where we live, as well as the language is overwhelmed as intuitive or formal institution. What is the difference between mother language and traditional language? Of course, if mother language, it can be traditional language as well. But if traditional language is only about traditional language, such as if mother language is like Indonesian language, include traditional language. But if traditional language is only about traditional language, you know, in Indonesia there are so many traditional language. Start from East Indonesia, Central Indonesia, and West Indonesia. So, what do you think about traditional language? Who will take the chance? Anyone wants to give the opinion for the first? Please raise your hand. Hello? Anyone wants to give your opinion? I'm waiting for your. Okay, Mr. Indrawanov, time is yours.
Well, so this is interesting exactly because everyone trying to use the mother tongue of other languages to show that they are extremely cool. In the meantime, they don't realize that they're they'll try to remove their language to be shown internationally because I suppose that many people, especially in the youth generations, they prefer to use uh, English than the traditional language because they will look like cool, they will look like smart if they try to use English than international language or English exactly. So the question is it wrong when we're trying to use English in the several places? The answer is not if we try to put that language in the right positions. If we try to speak in the public place that the majority the people there Indonesians that trying to require us to use bahasa, so why not we're trying to use the right Indonesian language. But on the other hand, if you're trying to stand internationally, that's why it'll trying to put you in the right situation to use English. So that's why it'll be like stereotype of the people when they're trying to use English everywhere and they're trying to mix English everywhere that it'll trying to broke your mother tongue as bahasa exactly. So this is my short opinion about that. Thank you.
All right, wondrous opinion from Mr. Indrawanov. Anyone who wants to take the chance? Mr. Aji? Okay, Mr. Aji, time is yours.
Okay, oh, maybe I have no opinion about this. But in a prediction, maybe in the future, 5 or 20 years later, around that, we will use only 5 or 6 or 7 because globally we will move to another spaces in the society which is not happening today. So we will interchange because of the IT and technology and so on and so forth. We will lose, of course, our traditional language. Maybe it's just my opinion. I have no basic about it. But the traditional language or mother tongue that we have, maybe it could be used as an accent, not for the language itself, because the language always evolve, right? Even some grammar mistake in English, but then that's wrong. Even though for the pronouns, for the use of conversation, for the writing, back then that's wrong. But from the growing up or the evolving of the language itself, now, for example, can't or couldn't aim, it is acceptable for speaking. Of course, for writing, it's not. For speaking, it is acceptable, but maybe we don't know in the future. Maybe English itself will lose the grammar, will lose the pattern that have been existed today, because everything will be changed. So I guess, of course, the extinction of traditional language is inevitable. Maybe that's my opinion. Thank you.
All right, mesmerizing opinion from Mr. Aji. Others who wants to take the chance? Okay, Mr. Mail.
Okay,
Golden
guys,
day.
so thank you so much for the time given. Wow, I'm a bit nervous talking about traditional language. Nice. I was born in Java Island, in East
Oh,
Java. I am Aremania born. So, okay.
Aremania. Wow. Singo
Yeah,
Eden.
but to be honest, yeah, my Japanese language is so suck. Yeah, my English is just so much better than my Japanese. Okay, so yeah, yeah, I like to say that Japanese language or any other traditional language pushed to become extinct due to the popularizations of international language. Yeah, either it is English, either it is English, Mandarin, Russian, and any other popular languages to master. I believe that it is normal because we do not find any urgency to learn traditional language. Yeah, we learned Spanish, we learned Koreanese, we learned English and Arabic due to its usefulness in our daily application, in our daily activities, in our future demands. So if we have fully realized that we lack of urgency, then we as the generations that will proceed, that will become the tense of the previous generations and the next generations, we need to popularize the usefulness, the benefits of traditional language. And I think this is something that we need to push right here. And when it comes to digital generation, I can say, don't say Aksara Jawa. I totally forgot about I Tana Charaka Data Sawala. Whereas at the same time, several countries, just like Indonesia, probably like Thailand, that has a quite similar written language. Yeah, they're also proud with their characteristic, with their nature. As yeah, I mean, like sometimes when we came to Bali, there will be like a traditional instrument, traditional how to say accessories that become the distinctive nature, the distinctive value that we couldn't find in any other places in Indonesia, and that's something that we can become so proud of our Indonesia, and that's something that we need to maintain. So Bali has found its usefulness of using or propagating the benefits of their traditional language. And what about us? And we as Japanese, okay, I can speak with Japanese language, but totally rude, not the soft one. Okay, so yeah, that's what I say regarding traditional language. Yeah, it's our duty to introduce, to reintroduce, yeah, to introduce again with a new face, with the new design to influence other people. If you want to become an influencer, try to become traditional language influencer and influence people. Okay, thank you.
All right, marvelous opinion from Mr. Sunny. Okay, Mr. No Name, please. Take uh, time is yours. Mr. No Name.
Okay, thank you,
Hello.
brother moderator. This topic is quite interesting for me to discuss. Okay, talking about traditional language or mother tongue from our local language. It's really huge problem in our country. I forgot the best on the article that I read. I forgot there are 100 of language, traditional language, I mean local language has disappeared in our country. It's not only in our country, but also in other country that is not exist anymore. You know, uh, one of my local language as well in some of formal school nowadays, there is no subject about, let's say, like mulok. How to say mulok? Yeah, let's say like mulok, that's local language, I especially teach in elementary school, but some of school in my hometown there is no exist anymore. It's one of I'm afraid that in the future there are a lot of people don't know their local language, their traditional language. It's one of the big problem, I think. And uh, the government should support the traditional language should be exist in all tribes, for all tribes, right? Mm, okay. You know, local language or traditional is one of identity, our identity. How can we forget our own language? We learn other language, we learn English, we learn Japanese, we learn Mandarin, we learn other language, but we don't know our language. How poor we are, how sad that our what's that? Our nation, if we try to learn deeply other language, but we try to forget it our language, our own language. I think that's not fair. Even if we learn, okay, okay, okay. Even if we learn other language, we have to learn as well our own language. That's the way how to introduce, like previous speaker said, we have to introduce our own language to the other country. Should be exist. Okay, I think that's all because I got that's all my own opinion, guys. Thank you, thank you. Back to moderator.
All right, marvelous opinion. Actually, most of the speakers are curious with the no name. Yeah, the next is Mr. Ranga. Time is yours. Ranga, are you there?
Hello, hello,
Yes, sir.
hello. Sorry, I was still muted myself. Well, if we are talking about language, I'm going to try to explain by historical perspective. If we look at the history of the emergence of many languages, most of them appeared because of economic conditions. Why? Because they needed to communicate with each other back then, before maybe in the communal era, because the use of sign language was not really uh, cool, or wasn't needed, or we or they at the time couldn't use the sign language. That's why they improved the way they communicate with each other by using language. If we read uh, the journals that has been shared by the Mr. Kudori, it is very good, because only human that can utilize um, language or communication beside other creature like animal that only use a sign language, right? However, in the foreseeable future, I suppose that um, local language, like traditional language, it will be only like a tradition, because the improvement of, like that has been said by someone previously, globalization era, or mostly because of the economic improvement of many superpower countries. If we take a look at the improvement of English language back then, it was established by English Empire, English colonization, and also the post-war after uh, Second World War, right? That's why nowadays English is improving time by time. However, there is also China that will uh, inevitably change the English itself because the improvement of their economy. That's why many foreign countries beside Indonesia are trying to study also China, because their economy is improving right now. If we take a look at our local language, it is very difficult, because beside bahasa that will try to you know change the English itself in the international language, we also have like Mr. Sunny said before, our traditional language. Even Java, my traditional language, like Dayak Pasir, nowadays, I don't know, seldom do I find many, especially young generations, speaking or talking or chit chat with each other with their local language. It is very seldom to hear them. Most of traditional language, local language, are only used by people in the rural area. That's why in the future, I believe that it is it'll it should be developed not only by young generations but also by the government, by introducing our local language as our identity. Because if we would like to learn our traditions, our history, we need to also master our own language, right? I think it is very important to do, because if we would like to enhance our language, it should be economic language, as China uh, tries right now. Yeah, it is just my simple opinion about this. Thank you.
Mr. Fatullah. Next slide. Mr. Fatullah. So there are so many problems that can field that can show from the internal or external. And now I want to bring from the internal the first economic factor. Why? Because the villager will move in the city because of they are difficult to look for the money, and it will change their opinion, and occasionally they forgot about the traditional language because of economic crisis. The second, distortion of education factor. Why? Because most of formal education, they are demanded, the students are demanded to speak up by Indonesians. So the students forget about traditional language, and if their family can help them to build and to help the child to speak up by traditional language, it's very useful. The third, weak socialization of family. You know, if the children are seldom, yeah, the children seldom speak up with the family by traditional language. Sometimes they are, what's that, impolite. Like use in Japanese, there are many levels to speak up with the same equal level, same equal age, or the older people. We can apply it. We cannot combine each other. Yeah, that is Japanese language. And the fourth, lack of consciousness by youth generation. Yeah, because they are afraid or they are shy to bring their traditional language. Like if we are settled foreigner, we are afraid of speaking by traditional language. Why? Because they think that our they think that my traditional language is worse than other traditional language. Actually, if we can promote traditional language, it will be useful and it can exchange from the other traditional language with my traditional language. And the fifth, populated by the majority of people. Yeah, because it's very famous. If we live in majority, then minority. What do you think about this topic? Anyone wants to speak up? Please raise your hand. One. Okay, Mr. Raji, the golden times is yours.
Um, Maybe I want to start by some question in my head. Why we should preserve this traditional language? Because maybe I guess it will be not important anymore in the future. Uh, we will lose our identity. We will not having an identity anymore because we are not living in traditional society. We will move to the prismatic society and then to the modern society. Modern society doesn't need about the identity, about ourselves, our religion. It doesn't need everything about identity. And also, when we look at the scope of the communication of this during the social activities, our scope will be bigger and bigger every time. Then maybe we will just communicate with the people around, yes, in our village. But now we have interdependency, intersection about that. So maybe I can communicate with people in Jakarta or with English in US, maybe with Trump. Our scope is bigger every time. Okay, the second option from opinion from me, and the third is about we will live in the purely digital era. Now, like handphone, when you lose your handphone, for example, you forgot to put your handphone in your home and you go abroad without your phone, your IQ will be decreased 30%. It means we are living truly in a digital era, right? So in the future, maybe we will live in the virtual era. We can use hologram and so on and so forth. Well, we don't need to communicate directly with other people because what will happen in the future, we don't know. Maybe when the future, when the virus, coronavirus, for example, will be more dangerous in the future. So we will not move out from our home. So with the three aspects that I've mentioned, loss of the identity because of the changing of society types to modern society, increasing the scope of our communication, and also about the influence of the digital technology. Maybe in the future, traditional language will be totally extinct. So maybe that is my opinion. Maybe another one will give the advocate and so forth. You can be continued. Thank you, Mr. Budore.
All right, Marufeli's opinion. Others who wants to take the chance? Okay, Mr. Cikoneng Ilir. Golden time is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hudori, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Before I before I will debate, I think what Mr. Aji said. But before that, I will bring the language is like the friction imagination that we can be different with the other creator such as animals. The differences between the human and the animal is like the friction imagination. They rely on like what is that religion, language, nation, the all of that we can touch it, we can bring it, but we can feel it and we can understand it each other. So that's why the language can call can be called by the full communication. But why when you will use it, the speaker and listener should understanding what the meaning of the sentence. We cannot attract, I mean, when we said by Indonesia, like saya, and we say that language to Japanese, Japan people, and they don't understand regarding it. It's not language because doesn't understand each other. So the mean of the two communication should be understand it, so it can be the friction imagination that the human can be different with the animals. For example, it's like when you collect 100 chimpanzee and you collect the 100 human and you offer them to fight each other, the chimpanzee cannot what cooperate with their communities, but the human can cooperate with their communities because the human can move efficiency and move good or the great moving regarding to the friction imagination. By that language, they can cooperate and can be the great creation in the world, can control the animals such as the tiger, lion, and the wild animal others. And I will bring it to the what is that? The traditional the traditional language because we live in the friction imagination. So in our mind, the international language is more important than the others. So usually the people always learn what they need, not what the nation should preserve in the future. So we think the international is more important than other because we can achieve the much money, we can achieve the higher education, we can achieve what the developed country get now, like the sustainable of economic, renewable energy, and etc. But we forget when we get all of that sector, like the economic, technology, and what is that, and etc. So the Europe or the West country, when they have been getting all of that factor, they interest to learn about culture. So many people from the West country come to Indonesia not for learn regarding the technology in Indonesia, regarding to the energy in Indonesia, but they learn regarding the culture in Indonesia. So that's why some government using the what is that traditional language as the mulok in the elementary school, and the second in the university there is several university like University of Indonesia. They have been the major that focus at the traditional language like Java literature, Sundanese literature, and etc. So this is the thing that we can sell to the other. We can sell to develop countries, and that is something valuable that we should preserve. But it will exactly happen when the all of Indonesia think the in traditional language doesn't important for us because we compete in our traditional. So when we talk, it will be preserved or not. So it depends on our fiction imagination. Okay, I think as this is my point of view.
Okay, you are on the right track now. Mr. Cikoneng Ilir. Okay, Mr. Indramanov, golden time is yours.
Thank you. So I suppose that my statement is almost similar with Mr. Chikoneng earlier, but I'm trying to clarify one by one in these occasions. So you can see on how the people of Indonesia are trying to prioritize to use English to socialize by the people, how to make them look like smart, especially in their life, in their place, in their environment, and others. So kind of the thing how to make bahasa will be look the people we have to be strong by the root by the yeah, by the root by our identity exactly. So a kind of the point that I just want to convey here, we have to do mental revolutions, how to make the youth is totally proud of their languages. So how to do the mental revolutions, we need tools. We need tools how to make them will realize that if their language is extremely cool, that it should be used by the people. And what is the tool? The tool is coming from the policies that be published by the government. So the government has the big rule how to change the system. So you can see on how Japan, Israel trying to implement a good system, how to make them will be have a good thing, especially how to proud of their languages. So kind of the thing that we have to find, especially for Indonesia government, how to put uh, the anonymous system for our countries. If the system is extremely amazing in the situation, it'll try to change the people habits to make them be proud of their languages. When we have a change the people habits, it'll trying to emerge consciousness of the society, family socializations, and also populated by the majority that's related with your slide, sir. And when everything that has been good in the situation, it'll try to produce the good human resources. Everyone will be smart. Everyone will be realize that if they have the good languages, if they're proud of their languages, and they will be smart and they can build kind of the thing that will be look uh, in the world exactly. So when we have a good human resources, of course, it'll trying to make us will be good in economy, will be good in technology, and also this the essential thing that we will be the education role model for all of the world. When we have a three of the things that I mentioned before, people will try to learn our language, and foreigner will try to realize that Indonesia is the big country, Indonesia is superpower because of this situation. So this is a kind of the structural how to make Indonesia will be looked internationally. So regarding to the statement of Aji regarding to the direct and indirect diplomacy, also it is true. Many countries try to implement their way how to make their languages loved by the people. You can see how Korean trying to put their indirect diplomacy to make Indonesian society learn about Korea. It's not because of Korea has a good thing in education. It's not because of the Korea has the good thing in technology and others. But kind of the thing that they like from Korea is their movie, their cultures. It's only the simple thing that make Indonesian wants to learn about the Korean language. So it's called by that indirect diplomacy. And also Irlandia, the several years ago, especially in 2009, how Irlandia trying to make Indonesian love them with trying to invite Westlife is part of their countries to do a concert before their king come 1 week after.
Opinion from Kalintamanov. Anyone will give next opinion? All right, no one. Please, next slide, Mr. Fatullah. This I want to bring from the external factor. The first is modernization and globalization. Of course, now because we live in modernization and globalization, we cannot stand ignoring the modernization system and also globalization system. So we might as well a little bit affiliate about traditional language and we move to modern language like English, Mandarin, Spanish, and etc. which which is given by previous speaker. And the second is cross-bending. Cross-bending is someone who marries with foreigner or other people which is from another another village or another ethnic. So it will mix, it will fix from their language and the other language, like Japanese marries with Sundanese. So what about their children? Which language do the children choose? The children will follow their mother or their father. We don't know about it. And the third is extension of foreigner language. You know, wherever English is the popular language, in this case, we cannot attend, we can attend enlarging our print or improving our skill by the foreign language. And the fourth is culture domination. Of course, because we live in this era with the technology, so we don't want to left behind because the young people must update about something new. Yeah. What do you think about this statement started from external factor? Anyone wants to give opinion? Other who haven't given opinion, you can raise your hand and mute your phone.
Ya, Tamara.
Okay, Mr. Tamara. Yeah, Mr. Tamara, Mr. or Miss.
Traditional language ambassador from Sumber.
So that's
So
great.
hi everyone. So
Hi.
actually you just present to us what the internal and external factor why that this language come to an extinct time. And in my opinion, supposedly we should know how much the speaker of the traditional language itself, and then how the traditional language should be, what is the use, what's the purpose, the time to use, etc., to know that this language is extinct, to come to the end of its era. And then regarding to what you have presented, the internal and the external factor, you've just mentioned about the economic factor, and then the economic improvement, education, and maybe the external factor, the crossbreeding and cultural domination, make the traditional come to an extinct time. I guess that indeed it come to all the indeed that it have an impact to the extinction of the traditional language. But actually, these languages is come to in all scope and all stage in our life. Of course, political, social, cultural, and everything means that even though we are even though that's all the factor, the internal, the external, is we just make a list regarding to the internal and external factor, but we have to know what my apologies, that sorry, that I guess that we have to know what the traditional language itself, I mean like this, if there is an extension, means that we have to perpetuate that things, right? But the things, I guess the topic today is not about how to perpetuate the language, the traditional language, but why that traditional language comes to an extinction. That's why you just present the internal and external. I totally agree that modernization and globalization, the extension of foreign language, crossbreeding, and cultural domination, but it's not totally wrong, because we have to face the modernization and globalization. That's all. Thank you.
All right, mesmerizing opinion from Ms. Tamara. And Mr. Raji, time is yours.
Okay, I look for several statement discussion. I see that the aspects about international and the variables is about foreign languages and traditional languages. In this occasion, I wanna go to the core of the scope about this discussion. Everything is being influenced by the political decision, by the government proficiencies. I mean, government provisioning to maintain the interests economically, socially, and also about the language itself. So I wanna bring several examples. Of course, Kibo has mentioned about Korea and Irandia, direct diplomacy, how to sell our culture to everyone. So another example, like India, English is the second language in India, right? So because of that capital, most of investors, including what is the condition about the inclusivity of the government, about the good season, how to build up the companies and so forth. The language, capital of language, using English, for example, in India, it is one other factors that are pivotal for the investor decide to invest their money to India, not for the developing countries such as in Indonesia or maybe in Laos, Bangladesh, because of one factor is capital of the language itself. So in the situation, everything is coming again to the government decisions how to build up a system that could be preserving the traditional language itself while not forgetting about the influence of the international language itself. Maybe there's my short opinion. Thank you.
All right, great for Mr. Aji. Others who haven't given opinion, you may take your chance. Okay, Mr. Arjun. Time is yours. Mr. Arjun, are you there?
Ah,
Oh,
okay. Ah, could you hear my voice?
yeah, clear,
Okay.
clear.
The first, thank you very much for this occasion, and this is the first time I join here, and actually I don't know what to do, but I heard from you all guys about your opinions, and here I just want to say about the factors of the extinction of the language or the traditional language, and I agree about the factor of external and internal, but here I want to focus on my opinion, and I have one factor about the
some traditional language to be extinct. For example, for the internal factor, yeah, it can be some factor that come from the internet itself that we know. Yeah, in this era, there are many if you know, some competition between culture, and also in our culture itself, and also with another culture also, and also if we know that language is what is language is part of the culture itself, and also, yeah, we know that the young people now, they all feel they all feel shame if they just only know about traditional language and didn't know anything about international language. And also we have to remind with ourselves that, I don't know, it can be some propaganda by international people or something, because you know, uh, Indonesian language itself, or maybe traditional language from Indonesia itself, if we use it in daily communication, it can be has uh, low on rank. And also we know for the advertisement sign, or maybe advertisement language, and also many product, they use international language. I don't know what was going on at this situation. And also if we know in airport, or maybe in, yeah, public facility like that, yeah, there are so many yeah, so many term. I, what is I cannot say how to imagine this one, because yeah, everything symbol or everything instruction, if we use also for electronic tools, they are come from, yeah, English, and then France, and then Spanish, and yes, many else. And this is not our native language. And also, yeah, it can be one of our homework for the next generation. We have to learn for our children, not only understand about international language also, but also we have to give them some way or some chance to them, yeah, to understand about our traditional language also. And then for external factor, yeah, this is, you know, yeah, this is about what is a competition between a nation and another nation. And yeah, of course, the big nation, they want to dominate everything, not only about economic, but also for culture and, yeah, product, and yes, many else. And yeah, it can be if we get some uh what is yeah, it can be one thing that it can make our traditional language to be extinct. And what is the last question? Wait, where is the chat? Chat. Yeah, yeah. For make our traditional language to be popular now, yeah, we maybe not only a years ago, or it can be started few years ago. When do you know in after what is local television station at that time, they make some news or some program, and this is totally 100% use their traditional language. For example, I still remember till now, I live in East Java, and then when I watch the TV program produced by JTV, Jawa Timur TV at that time, and then some program at the prime time at that time, maybe at at 7 till 8 p.m. 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. They are the program. The name is Pojok Kampung, and yeah, they always use the traditional language. This is Javanese language, but the kind of Javanese language, and they use logat Surabayaan at the time. And this is so funny, and this is so wow. It's, when I watch this, I always love because of their action using the Surabayaan accent like that. Wow, it's so yeah, so funny, and then it's so amazing for me because yeah, because in Javanese language itself, we have many kinds of the action, not only about Javanese itself, but also yeah, depend on where where Java area that you come from, like that. For example, in Java, maybe in Surabaya, and then Malang, and then Jawa, Mataraman, Jogja, and etc. like that. Wow, it's so amazing for me. And this program till now still exists, and then yeah, it's so not only to be entertained, but also it can keep this traditional language still exist. And yeah, it's so yeah, it's good idea. And now by using the YouTube channel itself, there are some people, yeah, they use some channel, and also yeah, by using their local language, and I think this is good idea. And telling about the extinguish of what is traditional language itself, yeah, this is big come back to the community of their people, because yeah, if some people still care about how to keep or how to save their language, I think this is still okay. But yeah, we have to come back for the young generation now, if they want to keep that or not. So the key is back to the young generation. They want to use the traditional language again, or just stop using the traditional language there. And yeah, of course, it can make the faster the extinguish of traditional language to be faster, like that. Okay, thank you very much. Hello, do you still hear me?
Oh my God. How to come back this slide?
Yes.
I don't know how to see how to use this app. Oh, Mr. Malwa has control this statement before. Yeah, this is one of the most data that I got from mostly In languages, in language of Japanese, there are 75.200 millions, 75 millions 200 people that can keep about traditional language. And also from Sudanese, 27 millions speakers which can use that traditional language. And from Batak, 5 millions, and Malayu, 20 millions. So if there are many speakers that can keep about traditional language, of course they are able to keep the traditional language because they don't want if their traditional language is extinct. So is the biggest is Japanese, the second is Malayu. Next, Mr. Patungo. Next is the same. Yeah, there are 9 questions that I make from the data that I have read. The first is what about the fate, the letter of alphabet when the native speaker passed away? The second, will the traditional language still be audible in the future? The third, what is the effort of government to prevent the extinction of traditional language? The fourth, would the child be able to speak of the language the father or the mother originally? The fifth, are the same between mother language and traditional language that I have explained previous. The sixth, why do we have to conserve traditional language? The seventh, what causes of extinctions? The eighth, is it worth dominating traditional language as the mother tongue? And then the ninth, how to decisive traditional language if the family comes from different ethnics. Who wants to answer from those questions? Oh my God. Okay, Mr. Fatullah, time is yours.
Okay, it's amazing. Thank you for choosing me as the speaker in this session. Anyway, I would say a huge apology that I've left this discussion because I have a trouble with my connection, particularly with my lack of my quota. Previously, oh my God, it makes the communication in this midst of discussion it's quite worse for me, just for me, not for you. Okay, there are so many questions that I face in this PPTX. It's related to the alphabet or maybe about the script, about the literature from the speaker. Maybe I just want to share about this number first because there are so many numbers. Maybe the other numbers will be answered by the other speaker maybe. For me, the alphabet, I mean the literature, it's related to the written culture. It will share about something that related with the what something that will be appear an existence in the long period of time of communication. I mean, when we say it in the speaking or maybe in the speech without writing it, so our descendants, our following generation will not find our ideas. So when the native speaker pass away without giving it to their descendants, so this letter or the alphabets will be extinct for this culture or the culture who has a special or unique language. For me, it's quite crucial for us to give our alphabet to the descendants. I mean, um, why it's quite important? Because when the script is extinct, so when there is there is a period of time that this language is quite danger to be too near of the extinction situation. So it will make this motion will be appear as the reality. So the fate of the letter of alphabets when native speaker pass away is the extinction of the language. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for your precious opinion from Mr. Fatullah. The next, Mr. Akandan, time is yours. Mr. Akandan, are you there? Or Mr. Aka will be the first to explain.
Sorry, I don't think I raised the hand.
Oh my God.
Maybe the next because my internet is lagging here.
Okay, next, Mr. Angga, time is yours.
Probably Mr. Agaton forgot to lower his hand before.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity that you have given to me. First of all, I'll try to explain why Japanese language is really popular right now. Beside the majority of clans in Indonesia is Japanese, if it happened since Suharto's era, I once did some research why this occurred in our society. First, previously when Suharto's regime controlled our society, he spent many people from Java to other countries, which the program named transmigration. Right, it sends many people in many places in Indonesia, including in my place in Borneo. For example, in many villages, there are many Japanese people because they were sent to each area um, to to conserve or no to utilize the lands there, to to full the lands with paddies and so on. And secondly, because most of the governors and majors back then were chosen by Suharto with Japanese people. That is why until now Japanese is so popular, in my opinion, because there is historical explanations behind this occasion. And furthermore, I'll try to explain the second and third question here. Will the traditional language still be still exist in the foreseeable future? I think it depends on ourselves. I mean, it depends on um, someone who has their native language. even though the external factors that we have explained beforehand, um, it is so difficult actually, in my opinion, to preserve our own language, because the you know, English, for instance, uh, has been really popular day by day, beside other languages from other countries as well, like China and so on. If we take a look at the improvement of English, why English is so popular? Because first, their economy, you know, their industry are everywhere. We could see many factories made or led by by English or native English speakers, and also their education. For example, if we would like to pursue our higher education, we need to go to other countries which are native English speaker mostly there, and their culture also, right? If we wanna enjoy the entertainments, most of us would watch Hollywood movies, or even music in English, right? I think from this occasion, when we would like to preserve our local language, our traditional language, we need to also emulate this way. Why English is so popular? First, probably, if I were a leader in this language, I would, of course, establish the industry. For example, tourism. It is very important when we have a good tourism place in our place, in our area. Many people from various places would inevitably come to our place to enjoy our tourism areas, right? Um, as a result, they would also study our local language if they would like to fully enjoy our own cultures. Secondly, it is education sector. I believe that the importance of studying local language in the schools are essential, right? When I was in junior elementary school, I was I was taught by my teacher with local language, traditional language, because they had a curriculum, a lesson about this language, Dayak language, Dayak Pasir language. But nowadays, I don't see that. Probably we could encourage, we could trigger the authority to, you know, to serve these lessons in the school, right? Because, you know, English is there nowadays since elementary school, but local language isn't. I don't know. Yeah, probably because the economic sector again and again, right? Because when we would like to go to, or when we wanna work in the company, most of them require English as one of the abilities that we should have. And the last probably is about culture. For example, when we were an entertainment, an artist or actress, we should also use this language as our promotions. For example, nowadays we have a popular song from Java entitled Lati. Yeah, Lati has Javanese in the middle of their lyrics, right? As I know that many people from various countries make many covers from this song using Japanese language. I think we could emulate this when we would like to preserve our own local language to the entire world. Or in addition, we could also, if we were a dancer, we could share the traditions of our area by utilizing this with our local language. I think this is very pivotal to do. Thank you.
Okay, tremendous opinion from Mr. Angga. And the next, who haven't given opinion, Miss Reni. Are you there, Miss Reni? Oh my God, she disappears.
Reni, there are two Reni here, Marcus Reni and Reni Apriliana.
Reni Apriliana. Miss Reni Apriliana. Or Miss Aggie, Laura will be the first to explain about this topic.
Yes. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I will.
Miss Egi, unmute your phone first.
Okay. Hello. Thank you for the opportunity. I will give some addition. In my opinion, currently many young people do not inherit their mother tongue from their parents. For example, one of the reason in the mixed marriage in the mixed marriage between Javanese and Minang tribes. I have ever heard the story, the mixed marriage in their family environment. Javanese and Minang language are not used as the language of instruction for the children to born speak their mother tongue. And suppose the children are not allowed like their language like Indonesian, Javanese, and Minang. But the children will use what their find to mother tongue is that because of the extension of the regional language, maybe the factor of cultural or domination by the communities are also influential, such as the language in the country, in education or in literature. Maybe the children will use the language what they're used in the education or the environment. Maybe in the Indonesian, another addition, the younger generation has begun to move the majority language and rarely uses the regional language or local language. Maybe they will have the initial language like the English, and they no longer to have the generation who can speak local language for the people nowadays. For example, in my village, Minang, the people usually judge the another people who can speak English or speak the Indonesian language. The people will judge by the what they speak and like that adjustment to recognize or to recognize because the minority language in the people life in the Minang, and they maybe people in here not like what the another language, not only about the language, maybe of the our government or the president who likes the people minority language. Some the will ignore the people who live in this Minang. As maybe I can realize that maybe from the factor of the generation about the politics or attitude and maybe economic factor are also considered to be trigger, as well as the lack of the recognition or prohibition of the use the minority language in people life. Thank you. That's all from me. Sorry for my apologies. Thank you.
All right, that sounds great. Statement. Mr. Miss Reni, Miss Reni, Marves Reni.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Same with the younger Reni. I don't have to say I am confused about this topic. I just want to increase about my knowledge about this topic. What I know is that I can speak my traditional language, especially Krama Inggil, that is Javanese. That I just can only a little, because I just learned about Krama Inggil in primary school, and I can practice it after high school because I live in Jakarta. Maybe this is the proof of the extension of the traditional language in Indonesia. Sorry, thank you.
Right. All right. That's possible. And next, Miss Reni. Is there Miss Reni? Oh, it's right. Miss Nunu. You want to give opinion about this topic, Miss Nunu? Miss Nunu, are you there? Okay, there is no answer. Mr. Patullah, do I have much time to choose between Cikoneng Ilir and Mr. Aji, or I have to give
1 minute.
one?
Please.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Cikoneng earlier and Mr. Aji are still have time for it. So
Okay.
relax.
Mr. Cikoneng Ilir, for the first, you can explain about this topic or something like that. Time is yours.
Okay. Thanks, sir. I interest to answer the second number. Will the traditional language still be audible in the future? when we talk about the future, so there is the two possibilities. The one is the traditional language is extinction, and the second is the traditional language will preserve in the future. So in the previous statement, I said the traditional language is something we can sell as the development country, like several previous speakers said. From Lati, they had contained the sinden. What is sinden? Yeah, like that. And so many foreign people cover that language. And in the other hand, the embassy of Indonesia in Australia have been have created the movie as the horror or thriller using the Japanese language in the Australia. This is something interesting. So our dati as the Indonesian people, not only for youth generation, but all of the tool of Indonesian like influencer, and Rich Brian also have initiated to use the local language as their modifying English rapper and traditional language. This is something interesting, and it is something unique for what acknowledge or emerge our traditional language. But the second is what's that? The second, the extinction, based on data that the UNESCO have found, there are more than 100,000 every 5 years. The extinction of the traditional language is proof, because when we look at from the previous ago, uh, the international language, not only English, but also there are different international language such as the hieroglyph, the Mesir kuno. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hieroglyph. And the second is the Latin, and the third is Arabic, and the fourth is the English. So Latin, no one use that language. Even the English language is the one of the descendant of Latin, what Latin 3, or the Latin is the root of language that came up English, French, Germany, and etc. So this circumstances is proof to us the international language also can be extinction. And how about the traditional language? We are in the globalization era, and the international language can dominate by who win the power or who win the war. World War One, World War Two, and before that, the expansion by Muslim and the researcher by Plato and Aristotle and etc. So the extension it will book, and it will be possible. We only using one language. All of people only use one language. In the future, it will be possible. So the determination of the international language, it will be win in the war. But in the recently era, even we put our weapons and we are in the peace circumstances, but exactly or unfortunately, we are in the war circumstances. There are three war that in the, how to say tidak specific, indeterminate, in the three war that always exist in our life. The first is the ideology. Even the capitalism still exists as the leader in the ideology, but the communism with appear, and there are the other ideology like Khilafah in the Islamic State, etc. And the second, the economic. America doesn't curious about the nuclear at China, but America cares about the economic in China. And the third is weapon, as the nuclear, the biggest deterrent weapon in the world. So who will be the win for the three of war this? So the international language in the next international will dominate in the future, and maybe we can only use one language, all of people. This is for me.
All right. Tremendous opinion from Mr. Cikoneng Ilir. For the last, Mr. Aji.
Okay, I just bring my point only 2 minutes. Before that, maybe I will share some materials when you want to read about where is the language first time born. It means you can read the Sapiens, maybe in the first page until 25, 40, like this one. Maybe it's not so clear. Maybe I will share the point. In the international understanding, language, universal language is
Full. And for the last, give statement in 1 minute. I will appoint one by one. Okay, Mr. Ota. The host has come.
Sorry. Oh my God, my device. Oh, my laptop was
So,
off.
do I have to give 1 minute for the last statement?
Okay. So first, I said a huge apology for Mr. Aji because I don't know what was you said before. So probably it will not quite related with the previous speaker. And then, uh, is it a conclusion or what, Mr. Khodori? Or will we
Do I have
close
to give
this?
1 minute for the last
Oh yeah, okay, I
statement or
see.
directly conclusion?
Okay, little
Yeah,
bit conclusion. Yeah, maybe everyone will share about
yeah.
your ideas related to this topic. For me, language is not just about culture. I mean, it's not just about the tribes, because language is our way to communicate, is a way to give information from our idea to spread to the other people. So probably a language could be extinct because of one reason, because of us, because of me, because of every one of us. So we can choose it tend to our perception, or maybe tend to our eager to save it, or maybe to lose it. Just it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Aji, the next 1 minute.
Okay, the extinction of traditional language is depending on political decision and public participation. That's it.
Okay, short but it's so cool. The next, Mr. Mail.
Yeah. So I'd like to quote an economic theory. It is a supply and demand. And there is a demand that will be supply. If you want some people to use traditional language as their national or global language, there must be supply from others, especially from the higher subs of our country. So extinction so related to the utilization. Okay, so the higher the demand given from the governments toward the society, I'm sure that it can be a really pivotal key to change the challenging phenomenon we have right now. I think that's on me. Thank you.
All right, nice statement. Next, Mr. Angga.
I assume that traditional language is pivotal to learn as our identity and our tools to absorb about our identity itself. The importance of traditional language can be maintained by several factors, in my opinion. First, from industry, education, and culture. Thank you.
Okay, nice statement. Next, Mr. Akadan.
Maybe in short, I will quote from Badan Bahasa. This organization said, we need to prioritize Indonesian, preserve local language, and master foreign language. That is my opinion. Thank you.
All right, it's outstanding. Next, Mr. Siswaji, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for 1 minute. Yeah, telling about language itself, yeah, it can be a long way about, because this is, yeah, back to the user itself, and I think, yeah, some of them, yeah, it can be extinct, or maybe just not extinct, but it can be transformed and, yeah, mix between another language. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, marvelous statement. Next, Mr. Zafar Resmi.
Yeah. I think I can speak and I can say my opinion because I'm in outside, so I just hear.
Okay. Next, Miss Egy Laura. Give the last statement in 1 minute. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I only what is where you're from, what your identity, what your skin color. We can speak or in the one language, and we can give us some opinion, or uh, can find the what we make together, or yes, love yourself. Thank you.
All right. Great opinion. Next, Mr. Cekonek Ilir. Time is yours.
Okay, language is the valuable thing that make us different with the other creatures, such as animals and plants. So put a doctrine in your mind. If the local language or traditional language important, you will preserve it, and it will. And if you feel the traditional language is not important, you will always utilize the international language. Thank you.
All right. Greatly appreciated. Next, Mr. Indramanov. Time is yours. Mr. Indramanov, are you there?
In radio, I guess. Show off. On air. He's on air right now in radio.
Sorry, what is it? What is the questions?
The last statement about this topic in 1 minute.
This is really interesting topic, exactly. The way of us how to understand that the traditional language is like our identity. When we lose our identity, it's like we lose everything from ourselves. So it's the reason that firstly we have to understand that we have to prioritize bahasa, and the second we have to deserve traditional language, and the third is we have to configure out English or the foreign language. In bahasa, we call it utamakan bahasa Indonesia, lestarikan bahasa daerah, dan kuasai bahasa asing. So it's called by three dharma bahasa. So we have to understand that if our country has the identity and we have to preserve it. Thank you.
All right. Great statement. Next, Miss Marves Reni.
Yes, for me, in fact, we cannot classify the language. Language are communication media, maybe, and in fact, all these language are historical record. If a human have ever reached a high enough level of civilization, and the extinction of a language is a very unfortunate, maybe like Ibrani and Smith language that already extinct. And the good news that I know there are now effort to defend the language of an almost extinct language by including it as a world cultural heritage by UNESCO. Thank you.
All right, great statement. Next, Miss Nunung, for the last statement in 1 minute. Time is yours. Miss Nunung, are you there? Miss Nunung? Okay, no answers. Now I want to give the last statement. Yeah, it doesn't matter even we learned about modernization language, but we don't let it about traditions because we live in many traditional languages. Yeah, that's it. I do apologize for every single mistake that I have made. Yeah, let's close our meeting today by saying Alhamdulillah together. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Back to the
Waalaikumsalam
host.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for Mr. Hudori. Give a big hand. Okay. Here I wanna share a little bit about, yeah, actually I'm not a master here, but because this is my duty related to this topic, I mean, I will share about some mistakes. Wait. Where is my screen? Okay, I hope that the whole of you can see it. First, it's related to the grammatical errors. Please make it clear. Don't make not stupid, something that errors that I hope everyone know, but always usually repeatedly do. It's kind of 100 of language. It's related to the 100. No, uh, without s. So please using s if you said that 100 of languages, because it means that there are so many languages. Don't forget about the s. Many schools. Don't forget about the s. And then probably about the vocabularies such as utilize. Utilize actually is you use it. I mean something that you make it in your daily activity. Utilize. And then inevitably is something that certainty happen. Emerge, something that appear. And then about the synonym of maybe, you can use probably or perhaps. And then about the accent. Accent is the way of speaking from one person. It's related to their tongue because of their mother tongue. And then about the extinct, it's similar with the vanished. And then about the misspelling, seems like parent. Actually, it's parents, yeah. And then not answer, but it's answer, just answer. And then when we say about something, it's related to our tribes or maybe something that's related to the one tradition or the culture, seems like sinden, krama inggil, and anything else, just say it, just directly say it, don't hesitate to say it. Seems like, okay, I love sinden so much. Sinden is a kind of blah 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 blah. So firstly you can say it, and then you can make a little explanation about it. Sinden is a song from Japanese maybe, or krama inggil. Krama inggil is one degree in the Japanese language and the others. And then how to say Mesir kuno is ancient Egypt. And then about the offspring or someone who was born after us, the next generation of us, we can say as descendant of or descent. And that's all. I mean, many kinds of ideas that I can share to you. Even though I know that I am not the master here, I just want to share something that maybe can improve and advancing your language much better again. Before we close our discussion today, Don't forget to take picture. Yeah. Please open your video if you want. I will give 1 minute to prepare yourself for opening your videos. Okay, 1 minute. We still have several seconds.
Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel.
Okay, we have Instagram account and we have a new YouTube account, and maybe soon we will have a new website. So just stay tuned
Yeah.
for our advancement in our community.
Yeah, because if you
To
want
make
to
this one
see
more
your
than an hour.
speaking, yeah, it's
How to
okay.
make this one more than 2 hours?
Yeah, it's okay. 5 hours we will upload it. 5
No, no. I
hours,
mean,
6 hours.
this is free account, but how could we make this more than 40 minutes? Because I just only if I use by myself and to in my class just only 40 minutes. Maybe you
We
can give
always,
me some trick.
yeah, we always use the
Yeah.
new account in every meeting.
Yeah,
So it
we
will
are
be,
usually
Oh,
using a
okay.
new account in
So we
every
have to
meeting.
new register, new register.
mm,
Okay. I see. Yes.
yeah.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
I hope that the
So you
whole of
also
you are
have your
ready
pen
for this taking
counter.
picture. Just smile. Don't forget to smile. I will make a countdown, and then 3, 2, 1. Smile. 1. Okay. Wait. I will share it. Yeah.
Pre-post.
What? Hey, wait. Again. 3, 2,
Come on. Salam
1.
literasi.
Okay.
Once again, yeah.
Okay.
Again, for
Come
the
on,
last
salam
time,
literasi.
using Al as the Salam Literasi, we have a language ambassador from Sumatera Barat, Mr.
Fuck
Indriwanov.
you, bro.
Yay! You will enter the
Bangsat.
next step as the national language ambassador, sir. Okay, Salam
Hey.
Literasi, using L. Under my count, 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. I will see it. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for this occasion, for your time that you spare in this weekend. It's a previous weekend anyway. So before I close this discussion, we say, when I say Ota, you said yesterday. Oh?
You said tomorrow.
Yesterday you said tomorrow. Yesterday you said tomorrow. So when I say Ota English, you said yesterday you said tomorrow. Okay?
Okay, come on.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Ota!
Yesterday you said
Yesterday you said
Yesterday you say
tomorrow. Yay!
tomorrow. Mwah.
The last I say, Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the time, my friends.
Waalaikumsalam.